Only 316 of the nearly 900 men who went into the water survived the ordeal. It's a staggering number, one that makes you pause and wonder, how could something like this happen? What series of events, decisions, or sheer bad luck led to such a devastating loss? These aren't just statistics. They're lives, stories cut short, families forever changed. And yet, within this tragedy, there are lessons. Hard-won truths about human resilience, the limits of preparation, and the unforgiving nature of the sea. So let's pull back the curtain, piece together what went wrong, and ask ourselves, what can we learn from this so it never happens again? The USS Indianapolis slid into the water in 1931, a gleaming testament to American might and craftsmanship. She wasn't just another ship, she was a statement, a symbol of naval power that would carry the weight of history on her decks. Built for speed and strength, she cut through the waves with a grace that belied her formidable presence. But her legacy wasn't just in steel and firepower. In 1936, she earned a place in the annals of prestige when she was chosen to carry President Franklin D. Roosevelt. It wasn't just any voyage, it was a journey that underscored her importance, her reliability. The Indianapolis didn't just serve, she represented, standing tall as a guardian of the nation's highest office. For years, she sailed with purpose, a vessel of honor and duty, her name whispered with respect among those who knew what she stood for. She was more than a ship, she was a legend in the making. It was the summer of 1945, and the world was holding its breath. Deep in the heart of Los Alamos, a small team of scientists and soldiers huddled around a nondescript crate. Inside was the core of the first atomic bomb, a secret so dangerous it could change the course of history. The mission was simple: get it to Tinian Island in the Pacific fast. They chose a B-29, stripped of everything but the essentials to make it lighter, faster. The crew knew the stakes. If they were caught, if anything went wrong, the consequences were unthinkable. No one could know what they were carrying, not the ground crew, not the other pilots, not even the men flying alongside them. The plane took off under the cover of darkness, racing against time. They flew at breakneck speed, pushing the limits of the aircraft, stopping only for fuel. Every second counted. The usual route would take days, but they did it in less than half the time, setting a record that would never be officially recognized. The secrecy was absolute. No logs, no records, no chatter over the radio, just a silent, relentless push forward. When they finally landed, the crate was whisked away before the engines had even cooled. The men who flew that mission never spoke of it again. Some didn't even know what they'd carried until years later. But in that moment, they had delivered the future, and the world would never be the same. The USS Indianapolis had just delivered its secret cargo to Tinian when disaster struck. On the night of July 30th, 1945, the ship was sailing alone under a moonlit sky. No one expected trouble, not after what they'd already been through. Then, without warning, 2 torpedoes slammed into the starboard side. The first blast tore through the bow, the second ripped into the midsection near the fuel tanks. Flames shot high, and the ship shuddered violently. Water rushed in fast, too fast. The Indianapolis was built for speed, not survival, and within minutes the bow dipped low. Men scrambled for life jackets, for anything that could keep them afloat. The ship listed hard, the deck tilting like a sinking platform. 12 minutes, that's all it took. 12 minutes from the first hit to the moment the Indianapolis vanished beneath the waves, taking hundreds of men down with her. Those who made it into the water faced a new horror. The sea was thick with oil and debris, the cries of the wounded mixing with the groans of the dying. The ship had gone down so quickly, so violently, that no distress call had gone out. No one knew they were there. No one was coming. Not yet. The men clung to rafts, to each other, to hope, but the rescue would be too late for many. The ocean had already begun its grim work. The sun beat down like a hammer, turning the endless blue into a shimmering nightmare. Nearly 900 men, crammed onto rafts barely big enough to hold them, clung to life as the ocean stretched out in every direction. No land, no hope, just the relentless waves and the gnawing thirst that clawed at their throats. Water was the first torment. The salt stung their cracked lips, and every swallow of seawater only made the burning worse. Some tried to catch rain in their hands, desperate for even a few drops, but the sky stayed cruel and clear. Men began to whisper to themselves, their minds unraveling as the days blurred together. Shadows became ships on the horizon, mirages of rescue that vanished when they blinked. Then came the sharks, silent, dark shapes circling beneath the rafts, their fins cutting through the water like knives. The men would freeze, gripping the edges, watching as the creatures brushed against the wood. One wrong move, one slip, and the water would turn red. Some didn't make it. A scream, a splash, and then nothing but the ripples fading into the vast, indifferent sea. Hunger gnawed at their guts, but thirst was worse. Men licked the dew off the rafts at dawn, their tongues thick and useless. A few tried to drink their own urine, but it only made the madness worse. They saw faces in the clouds, heard voices in the wind, and some even swore they saw angels walking on the waves. By the time the rescue finally came, if it came at all, many were already gone. The ones who survived would carry the weight of those lost days for the rest of their lives, haunted by the endless blue and the silence of the deep. In 2017, a team of explorers made a startling discovery deep in the Pacific. There, resting on the ocean floor, was the wreck of a long-lost ship, its secrets buried for decades. The find sent ripples through the maritime community, but the real surprise came when researchers dug into the Navy records. Page after page confirmed what no one had expected. There was no distress call, not a single transmission, not even a whisper of an SOS. The ship had vanished without a trace, and now, all these years later, the silence was deafening. It left everyone wondering, what had really happened out there in the dark, endless water? The court-martial of Captain McVay was a dark chapter, one that unfolded with the weight of history pressing down on every word spoken in that room. The charges were heavy, the evidence stacked against him, and the verdict seemed inevitable. But what unfolded wasn't just about guilt or innocence, it was about the cracks in a system that had failed to see the full truth. For years, the official record stood as a monument to a decision made in haste, a judgment clouded by the fog of war and the pressure of public opinion. But time has a way of revealing what was once hidden. By the year 2000, Congress took a hard look at the case, peeling back layers of assumption and error. They found gaps in the evidence, questions left unanswered, and a narrative that didn't hold up under scrutiny. The exoneration wasn't just a legal correction, it was an admission that even the most trusted institutions can stumble. Captain McVay's name was cleared, but the scars remained. The story became more than one man's fight. It was a lesson in how justice, when rushed, can falter. And in the end, the truth, though delayed, found its way to the light. The USS Indianapolis slipped beneath the waves in the black of night. A secret mission completed, but its crew left to the mercy of the sea. 1,200 men went into the water, and for days they fought the waves, the sharks, the unrelenting sun. The Navy didn't know they were gone, not at first. The mission was too classified, the orders too tight. Silence was the price of secrecy, and the men paid it in blood. Survivors spoke of the horror later, their voices raw with the weight of what they'd endured. The ship's logs, what remained of them, told a story of duty and disaster, of a vessel lost to the depths because no one could say where it had gone. The cost of keeping secrets isn't just measured in what's hidden, it's measured in the lives left to the dark, in the voices that cry out from the deep, demanding to be heard. Even now, the Indianapolis rests on the ocean floor, a tomb and a testament. The men who lived through it carried the weight of that silence for the rest of their days. And maybe that's the lesson. Some truths are too heavy to bury, some stories too important to keep locked away. The sea remembers, and so should we. The weight of silence can be heavier than any truth. When voices go unheard, when warnings are whispered instead of shouted, the cost isn't just measured in mistakes, it's measured in lives. The tragedy didn't unfold in an instant. It was built on layers of missed chances, on words left unspoken and plans left unshared. Preparedness isn't just about having a plan, it's about making sure everyone knows it, understands it, and can act on it. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and when some are left in the dark, the whole thing snaps. The ones who knew the risks didn't speak up loud enough, and those who needed to hear were never really listening. But the deepest wound isn't in the systems that failed, it's in the people left behind. Every secret kept, every truth buried leaves a shadow. Families don't just lose loved ones, they lose answers. They're left wondering if things could have been different, if someone had just said something sooner. This isn't just about what went wrong, it's about what we do next. We talk, we plan, we make sure no one is left in the dark again. Because the cost of silence is too high to pay twice. Here's your checklist to keep things running smoothly and safely. First, make sure everyone knows their role. Clear responsibilities prevent confusion when time is tight. Next, establish a primary and backup communication channel. If the main one fails, you've got a plan B ready to go. Regular drills aren't just for show. They keep the team sharp and reveal weak spots before they become real problems. Keep emergency contacts updated and accessible. No digging through old files when seconds count. Stock essential supplies, but don't just set them aside. Check expiration dates and replace what's needed. And finally, designate a point person for emergencies. One voice leading the charge cuts through the noise and keeps everyone on track. Simple steps, but they make all the difference when things go sideways. Stay prepared, stay safe. The lessons from history aren't just stories, they're warnings. When we look back at tragedies, we see patterns, ignored risks, delayed actions, and the cost of complacency. The key takeaway? Vigilance saves lives. It's not enough to recognize mistakes after they happen. We have to anticipate them before they do. Here's the prevention checklist to keep in mind. First, always assess risks early and often. Don't wait for a crisis to act. Second, communicate clearly. Misunderstandings can escalate small problems into disasters. Third, train and prepare, because when emergencies strike, there's no time to figure things out. And finally, learn from the past. History doesn't repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme. The weight of these lessons isn't just about avoiding failure. It's about honoring those who suffered by making sure their struggles weren't in vain. We owe it to them and to ourselves to do better.